Yes, welcome back. I maybe buy a donkey to pull a small trailer and go travel. So I would like to read what a donkey is. The donkey, and we have another animal called a mule. I think a mule and a donkey is not the same. But let's read about it.
Donkey. Page semi-protected. Donkey in Clovelly, North Devon. Conservation status. Domesticated. Scientific classification. Edit this classification. Domain Eukaryotic Kingdom. Animalia. Phylum. Chordata. Class Mammalia. Order Perissodactyla. Family Equidae. Genus Equus. Species E. Africanus. Subspecies E. Asinus. Trinomile. Name Equus africanus. Asinus linus. 1758. The donkey is a domesticated equine. It derives from the African wild ass, Equus africanus, and may be classified either as a subspecies thereof, Equus africanus asinus, or as a spirit species, Equus asinus. 1. It was domesticated in Africa some 5000–7000 years ago. 1, 2, 3715. 3, and has been used mainly as a working animal since that time. There are more than 40 million donkeys in the world, mostly in underdeveloped countries, where they are used principally as draft or pack animals. While working donkeys are often associated with those living at or below subsistence, small numbers of donkeys or asses are kept for breeding or as pets in developed countries. An adult male donkey is a jack or jackass. An adult female is a jenny or jennet, 4, 5, 6, and an immature donkey of either sex is a foal. 6. Jacks are often mated with female horses, mares, produce mules, the less common hybrid of a male horse, stallion, and jenny is a hinny. Nomenclature. Traditionally, the scientific name for the donkey is Equus asinus asinus, on the basis of the principle of priority used for scientific names of animals. However, the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature ruled in 2003 that if the domestic and wild species are considered subspecies of a common species, the scientific name of the wild species has priority, even when that subspecies was described after the domestic subspecies. 7. This means that the proper scientific name for the donkey is Equus africanus asinus when it is considered a subspecies and Equus asinus when it is considered a species. 8. 7. At one time, the synonym ass was the more common term for donkey. The first recorded use of donkey was in either 1784, 9, or 1785. 10, 11, 12, 239. While the word ass has cognates in most other Indo-European languages, donkey is an etymologically obscure word for which no credible cognate has been identified. Hypotheses and its derivation include the following: perhaps from Spanish for its don-like gravity. The donkey was also known as the king of Spain's trumpeter. 11. Perhaps a diminutive of dun, dull grayish-brown, a typical donkey color. 10. 13. Perhaps from the name Duncan. 10. 14. Perhaps of imitative origin. 14. From the 18th century, donkey gradually replaced ass and jenny replaced she-ass, which is now considered archaic. 15. The change may have come about through a tendency to avoid pejorative terms in speech and may be comparable to the substitution in North American English of rooster for cock, or that of rabbit for coney, which was formerly homophonic with cunny, a variation of the word cunt. By the end of the 17th century, changes in pronunciation of both ass and ass had caused them to become homophones in some varieties of English. 12. 239 other words used for the ass in English from this time include cuddy in Scotland, neddy in southwestern England and dicky in southeastern England. Winking sad smiley. 12. 239 monkeys documented in the 19th century and may be of Welsh or Romani origin. Burro is a word for donkey in both Spanish and Portuguese. In the United States, it is commonly applied to feral donkeys that live west of the Rocky Mountains. Winking sad smiley 16. It may also refer to any small donkey. 17. 147 History. Donkey in an Egyptian painting c. 1298 1235 BC. The genus Equus, which includes all extant equines, is believed to have evolved from Dinohippus, via the intermediate form Plesippus. One of the oldest species is Equus simplicidans, described as zebra-like with a donkey-shaped head. The oldest fossil to date is 3.5 million years old from Idaho, USA. The genus appears to have spread quickly into the Old World, with the similarly aged Equus livenzovensis documented from Western Europe and Russia. 18. Molecular phylogenies indicate the most recent common ancestor. 04 Modern equids, members of the genus Equus, lived 5.6. 3.97.8. Maya. Direct paleogenomic sequencing of a 700,000-year-old Middle Pleistocene horse metapodile bone from Canada implies a more recent 4.07 MYR before present date for the most recent common ancestor, MRCA, within the range of 4.0 to 4.5 MYR BP. 19. The oldest divergences are the Asian hemians, subgenus E. asinus, including Thiculin, Aniger, and Kion, followed by the African zebras, subgenera E. Dolichohippus, and E. hippotigris. All other modern forms, including the domesticated horse, and many fossil Pliocene and Pleistocene forms, belong to the subgenus E. equus, which diverged 4.8, 3.26.5 million years ago. 20. The ancestors of the modern donkey are the Nubian and Somalian subspecies of African wild ass. 21, 22, 23. Remains of domestic donkeys dating to the 4th millennium BC have been found in Maradi in Lower Egypt, and it is believed that the domestication of the donkey was accomplished long after domestication of cattle, sheep and goats in the 7th and 8th millennia BC. Donkeys were probably first domesticated by pastoral people in Nubia, and they supplanted the ox as the chief pack animal of that culture. The domestication of donkeys served to increase the mobility of pastoral cultures, having the advantage over ruminants of not needing time to chew their cud, and were vital in the development of long-distance trade across Egypt. In the Dynasty 4 era of Egypt, between 2675 and 2565 BC, wealthy members of society were known to own over 1,000 donkeys, employed in agriculture, as dairy and meat animals and as pack animals. 24. In 2003, the tomb of either King Nama or King Ho-Aha, two of the first Egyptian pharaohs, was excavated, and the skeletons of 10 donkeys were found buried in a manner usually used with high-ranking humans. These burials show the importance of donkeys to the early Egyptian state and its ruler. 25. By the end of the 4th millennium BC, the donkey had spread to Southwest Asia, and the main breeding centra had shifted to Mesopotamia by 1800 BC. The breeding of large, white riding asses made Damascus famous, while Syrian breeders developed at least 3 other breeds, including one preferred by women for its easy gait. The Muscat or Yemen ass was developed in Arabia. By the 2nd millennium BC, the donkey was brought to Europe, possibly at the same time as viticulture was introduced, as the donkey is associated with the Syrian god of wine, Dionysius. Greeks spread both of these to many of their colonies, including those in what are now Italy, France and Spain. Romans dispersed them throughout the Empire. 24. The first donkeys came to the Americas on ships of the second voyage of Christopher Columbus, and were landed at Hispaniola in 1495.26. The first to reach North America may have been two animals taken to Mexico by Juan de Zumárraga, the first bishop of Mexico, who arrived there on the 6th of December 1528, while the first donkeys to reach what is now the United States may have crossed the Rio Grande with Juan Dianet in April 1598.27. From that time on they spread northward, finding use in missions and mines. Donkeys were documented as present in what today is Arizona in 1679. By the gold rush years of the 19th century, the burro was the beast of burden of choice of early prospectors in the western United States. With the end of the placer mining boom, many of them escaped or were abandoned, and a feral population established itself. Conservation status. About 41 million donkeys were reported worldwide in 2006. 28. China had the most with 11 million, followed by Pakistan, Ethiopia and Mexico. As of 2017, however, the Chinese population was reported to have dropped to 3 million, with African populations under pressure as well, due to increasing trade and demand for donkey products in China. 29. Some researchers believe the actual number may be somewhat higher since many donkeys go uncounted. 30. The number of breeds and percentage of world population for each of the FAO's world regions was in 2006 sad smiley 28, region no. Of breeds percent of world pop. Africa 2626.9, Asia and Pacific 3237.6, Europe and the Caucasus 513.7, Latin America and the Caribbean 2419.9, Near and Middle East 4711.8, United States and Canada 50.1, world 18541 million head. The Bordeaux du Poitou is among the largest breeds of donkey. In 1997 the number of donkeys in the world was reported to be continuing to grow, as it had steadily done throughout most of history. Factors cited as contributing to this were increasing human population, progress in economic development and social stability in some poorer nations, conversion of forests to farm and rangeland, rising prices of motor vehicles and fuel, and the popularity of donkeys as pets. 31. Since then, the world population of donkeys is reported to be rapidly shrinking, falling from 43.7 million to 43.5 million between 1995 and 2000, and to only 41 million in 2006. 28. The fall in population is pronounced in developed countries. In Europe, the total number of donkeys fell from 3 million in 1944 to just over 1 million in 1994. 32. At a livestock market in Niger, the Domestic Animal Diversity Information System, DADIS, of FAO listed 189 breeds of ass in June 2011. 33. In 2000 the number of breeds of donkey recorded worldwide was 97, and in 1995 it was 77. The rapid increase is attributed to attention paid to identification and recognition of donkey breeds by the FAO's Animal Genetic Resources Project. 28. The rate of recognition of new breeds has been particularly high in some developed countries. In France only one breed, the Bordeaux du Poitou, was recognized until the early 1990s. By 2005, a further 6 donkey breeds had official recognition. 34. In developed countries, the welfare of donkeys both at home and abroad has become a concern, and a number of sanctuaries for retired and rescued donkeys have been set up. The largest is the Donkey Sanctuary near Sidmouth, England, which also supports donkey welfare projects in Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Kenya, and Mexico. 35. In 2017, a drop in the number of Chinese donkeys, combined with the fact that they are slow to reproduce, meant that Chinese suppliers began to look to Africa. As a result of the increase in demand, and the price that could be charged, Kenya opened 3 donkey abattoirs. Concerns for donkeys' well-being, however, have resulted in a number of African countries, including Uganda, Tanzania, Botswana, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Senegal, banning China from buying their donkey products. 36. In 2019, the Donkey Sanctuary warned that the global donkey population could be reduced by half over the next half-decade as the demand for a jiao increases in China. 37. 38. Characteristics. Donkeys vary considerably in size, depending on both breed and environmental conditions, and heights at withers range from less than 90 centimeters, 35 in, to approximately 150 centimeters, 59 in. 1. 6 working donkeys in the poorest countries have a life expectancy of 12 to 15 years. Winking sad smiley. 39. In more prosperous countries they may have a lifespan of 30 to 50 years. 6. Donkeys are adapted to marginal desert lands. Unlike wild and feral horses, wild donkeys in dry areas are solitary and do not form harems. Each adult donkey establishes a home range. Breeding over a large area may be dominated by one jack. 40. The loud call or bray of the donkey, which typically lasts for 20 seconds, 41, 42, and can be heard for over 3 kilometers, may help keep in contact with other donkeys over the wide spaces of the desert. 43. Donkeys have large ears, which may pick up more distant sounds and may help cool the donkey's blood. 44. Donkeys can defend themselves by biting, striking with the front hooves, or kicking with the hind legs. Their vocalization, called a bray, is often represented in English as he-haw. Cross on back. Most donkeys have dorsal and shoulder stripes, primitive markings which form a distinctive cross pattern on their backs. 45, 46. Breeding. A 3-week-old donkey foal Jenny is normally pregnant for about 12 months, though the gestation period varies from 11 to 14 months. 6, 47, and usually gives birth to a single foal. Births of twins are rare, though less so in horses. 6. About 1.7% of donkey pregnancies result in twins. Both foals survive in about 14% of those. 48. In general, jennies have a conception rate that is lower than that of horses, i.e. less than the 60-65% rate for mares. 6. Although jennies come into heat within 9 or 10 days of giving birth, their fertility remains low, and it is likely the reproductive tract has not returned to normal. 6. Thus it is usual to wait 1 or 2 further estrus cycles before rebreeding, unlike the practice with mares. Jennies are usually very protective of their foals, and some will not come into estrus while they have a foal outside. 49. The time lapse involved in rebreeding, and the length of a jenny's gestation, means that a jenny will have fewer than one foal per year. Because of this and the longer gestation period, donkey breeders do not expect to obtain a foal every year as horse breeders often do, but may plan for 3 foals in 4 years. 6. Donkeys can interbreed with other members of the family, Equidae, and are commonly interbred with horses. The hybrid between a jack and a mare is a mule, valued as a working and riding animal in many countries. Some large donkey breeds such as the Asino di Martina Franca, the Bordeaux du Poitou and the Mammoth Jack are raised only for mule production. The hybrid between a stallion and a jenny is a hinny and is less common. Like other interspecies hybrids, mules and hinnies are usually sterile. 6. Donkeys can also breed with zebras, in which case the offspring is called a zonkey, among other names. Behavior. Donkeys have a notorious reputation for stubbornness. but this has been attributed to a much stronger sense of self-preservation than exhibited by horses. 50. Likely based on a stronger prey instinct and a weaker connection with humans. It is considered